The fight for Ukrainian identity is still ongoing, but not only within Ukraine and also outside its borders. And while some may think that war is mostly about men, many Ukrainian women have joined the armed forces. But the vast majority of them have found themselves in safer conditions and they have worked quite hard to promote justice, expose Russian narratives and help others find new passion in life and fight disinformation. The Solutions from Ukraine podcast is brought to you by Rubryka media outlet. My name is Vladyslav Faraponov, I'm the co-host of this podcast. And before we start, let me remind you that you can support us at Patreon, at patreon.com/Rubryka. After you join us at Patreon, you will be able to send us questions that we address in the podcast, and also you can get our merch with solutions and Ukraine, of course. And let me introduce Anastasia Rudenko, Rubryka's chief editor.
Hello, Vlad. Hello, our listeners.
Today's topic was chosen by me, if you really wonder. But joking aside, it is an important topic. And today we will announce also some changes to our podcast approach. So stay tuned by the end of the episode.
Yes, a lot of news and absolutely important. We will tell you 3 cases about Ukrainian women abroad and solutions that they managed to find. Because there are good stories to share today, and I really believe that we can scale up such examples and multiply these solutions.
Let's discuss the importance of these activities. We will start with the activities that we learned about Anastasia Rudenko, who is the creator of the Czech-Ukrainian initiative called The Voice of Ukraine, and also she is now the representative of the Ukrainian Center for Security and Cooperation in the Czech Republic. So she was in Ukraine when the full-scale war of Russia against Ukraine have started, and she lived in Zhytomyr, basically the city close enough to Kiev, and just for you to understand, the way between Zhytomyr and Kiev was basically one of the most active in terms of Russian attempts to get to Kiev. So she was really at the heart of it. So she basically ended up in the Czech Republic, and she said it was quite hard for her to accept that she was in safety while people in Ukraine were under attacks and stuff like that. And obviously she wished she could influence the course of events in Ukraine. And she recalled finding a message on Facebook that some teacher assistants are needed to help Ukrainian children learn the Czech language. And she went on an interview with just a basic understanding of the language, and then she started volunteering with children. So she basically started working with kids in third and then at 5th grade, and her Czech language skills were improving through special courses she was taking.
Yes, she told Rubryka that she started joining stress protests and formed a Czech-Ukrainian initiative, but noting that they also had a notable amount of Czechs driving it. Now she has become one of the organizers of rallies, regular rallies, and a co-founder of the Voice of Ukrainian initiative. So it's important diplomacy efforts, like culture diplomacy.
Yeah, but let's talk about what did they do in particular.
Okay, they monitored advocacy events in the Czech Republic and established connections between Ukrainian organizations in the Czech Republic. And they were also cooperating with European Congress of Ukrainians. And that is essential, as we understand the support should stay high. The outcome of these rallies can be felt like tangible, physically or quantified. However, they can create precedents that encourage the voicing of essential topics in the informational space. You know how important it is.
Yeah, and at the same time, it was quite typical for many European countries, like at the time, but of course not only. I mean, kind of not only in European countries, but that trend is still kind of relevant today. And like we are telling this story because it takes us to a trend which we'll describe a bit later today. So, like her activities, it resulted in her continuous cooperation with others at the event and led to her encountering the Ukrainian Center for Security and Cooperation founders at some like advocacy forum in Brussels. And the center's team was basically set up during the Revolution of Dignity of 2014, when Ukraine's former president Yanukovych actually declined to sign the association agreement with the European Union, and then the Revolution of Dignity actually started. So, like this organization, they had kind of much practice in researching about hybrid warfare and Russia's economic influence on political decisions. So kind of these activities of Anastasia Sinhaevska that we're talking about actually got involved her with this center, and she was later appointed their representative in the Czech Republic, and she is now doing the research as an expert on Russian influence and disinformation. So now they're working in Prague to find out why sanctions are not so strong. And one of their latest projects is connected to the family of Russian rocket engineer Boris Obnosov. And his son-in-law and daughter, they still live in Prague. They are not under sanctions. So Anastasia and her colleagues, they conducted an extensive information campaign. And she recalled that like their work is not only about going out to streets and kind of stand with flags or posters. They did some research and analysis to determine how people are put on the sanctions list, who is responsible for it, and how the sanctions list in the Czech Republic basically looks like. So her activities in Prague then led to her specific actions to really help Ukraine and also to help some European countries, in particular, find and then fight Russia's influence in their countries. So obviously we'll post this story in the description of the episode that you can get more details of this particular story.
And let me start another story, another example, another solutions from Ukraine. Anastasia Rudenko established the Ukrainian agency Eugen here, in Ukraine, 7 years ago, intending with the goal to assist young Ukrainians with job opportunities. And today, this HR brand is connected with nearly 40,000 boys and girls and works in partnership with over 40 companies. Not to mention that despite the difficulties created by the outbreak of the full-scale war, the agency remains dedicated to its work and continue their functions.
Yeah. So it is like another interesting example of a bit different, of course, initiative, but let's talk more about how does this initiative succeed in involving kind of Ukrainian youth in their projects. Was it challenging to start operations amid the full-scale war for them?
Yeah, and the story also showcased a trend, because once a full-scale war broke out, Anastasia Rudenko and her children lived under occupation in Kiev region. And within a few days after February 24, all communication in the village has ceased functioning. And after 3 weeks of being occupied, the family could leave to Kiev, to relocate in Kiev. They traveled to Poland and eventually ended up in the Netherlands. And during that period, her team shared valuable content with their audience, covering topics such as where to find psychological support and how to donate effectively. By the fall of 2022, they were again fully immersed in their project. And at that time, Anastasia and her 2 children had already settled in the Netherlands, but organization in general continued to assist companies in attracting young individuals to internship and guided them in developing their personal brand for the target audience of 18 plus, especially students, It is, again, timely and important initiative,
Yeah, and basically that's it for today. We will post also this story online in the description as well. Obviously, there will be more stories like that. You can Google right now. The project is called Voices of Ukrainian Women Abroad. So as for now, we have just several of them, but later it will be more.
Yeah, we will post them regularly. So we even launch it as special project because we want to emphasize on such good examples.
Well, that said, we are actually finalizing this format. As we mentioned at the beginning of this episode, we will reformat our podcast a bit, and in particular, it will be, as for now, in the form of discussions at the online events, which we really expect you to attend and ask us questions, and also remember that at our online events you can have some gifts from us. So
we really want to find solution together.
And we have already arranged 2 discussions on the role of foreign media in the war, and also we have discussed Ukrainians abroad. There were interesting thoughts, which is why we want solutions from Ukraine to be born in the discussions, like these public talks. So we really ask you to continue following our pages, and also join us at Patreon to get alerts about planned events first, and also to participate in it.
We would like to ask you follow Rubryka and subscribe to social network, because Rubryka is the first Ukrainian media in solution journalism approach, and we always try to find solution. Even now, amid the full-scale war, there is our mission.
Yeah, so you can find more episodes of our podcast at rubryka.com or your favorite podcast provider. So Solutions from Ukraine completes its first season, and we really hope to hear from you now, like in our second season. So let's stay in touch.
We will be back soon.